Well, joining us now, Jonathan Schanzer in Washington, D.C. He's the Senior Vice President for Research at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. That's an institute focusing on foreign policy and national security. Good to have you with us. What did you make of those meetings and the ideas that were put forward?
Well, I think we haven't really heard much new from this administration. I think they're trying to reassure the region that the United States is still in charge. Although it's hard, I think, for the region to trust this administration right now, really for two reasons. One, this administration has already indicated and stated very bluntly that it plans to pivot away from the Middle East to spend less time on problems where there are very clear answers. Certainly with the United States now having to deal with a great power competition with China, I think that is a fait accompli. The other thing that the region is watching very nervously for is, of course, the U.S. decision to re-enter the Iran nuclear deal. When that happens, groups like Hamas will be flush with cash because Iran is their primary patron. And of course, it won't only be Hamas, it'll be other terrorist groups as well. So certainly we welcome these efforts to try to calm some jittery nerves, but I think that there are greater challenges that certainly await.
And that is the crux of it, isn't it? It's one thing to quell the fighting and bring about a temporary cessation of hostilities. It is quite another to establish a lasting resolution to a long-standing problem. And what hope is there of that when the two sides, on the Israeli side, you have a prime minister who, after election, cannot secure a majority in the parliament, and on the Palestinian side, you have Mr. Abbas, who does not speak for the political control in Gaza?
Certainly, and actually I would even argue that Abbas barely speaks for the people of the West Bank. He is now 16 years into a 4-year term with no elections in sight. So you have two leaders that have been in power for quite a long time. They don't like each other. They really don't have a lot of interest in talking right now. I would probably add, though, that the Israelis have put on the table a number of peace agreements that have been rejected by the Palestinians over the years. But even that said, we're not going to be able to get anywhere, I think, until we have new leaders on the scene. There will probably be a 5th round of elections in Israel where Mr. Netanyahu will be put to the test.
Do you think that someone else needs to now get involved in order for this process to have credibility and hope of reaching some kind of resolution?
I actually think that the real answer to all of this is really trying to address the issue of the Palestinian divide. You mentioned that there are two different sovereigns, if you will, in the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. This dates back to a civil war that erupted among the Palestinians in 2007. The two territories have remained under the control of two different governments, and they are really at odds with one another. The animosity is very clear. It is impossible to have a two-state solution so long as the Palestinians themselves are hopelessly divided, and there really does not appear to be an easy answer to that. I would very much welcome some kind of mediation. I don't think the United States can do it because here in the U.S. we don't recognize Hamas and cannot engage because they're a terrorist organization. However, there could be other intermediaries that could certainly try to help this internecine conflict be solved.
OK, Jonathan, really good to get your thoughts and analysis there. Jonathan Schanzer, thank you.
Thank you.